Hello vintage outboard motor fans, this is T-Mike here in South Louisiana making another video today. Today's video is how to clean and rebuild a carburetor on a 1947 5 horsepower CB model 2G2. So I'm going to walk you through disassembling the carburetor, cleaning it, and putting it back together. Alright, if everybody's ready, here we go. Alright, so here's my shop at my man cave at my Toledo Bend Lake House, and I'm working on a CB 1947 5 horsepower. There's the carburetor. I got it all disassembled. I'm going to walk you through the moving parts on that thing. And here's the rest of the motor disassembled, flywheel. I've already tested the coils and the points were dirty. I cleaned those and I got spark on it. So I'm in the process of cleaning the gas tank. And here's the motor itself with the carburetor removed. And I'm gonna slip that carburetor back on after I got it cleaned up and clean the gas can, fill it with some fuel, and see if she'll start. Got compression. Compression is 45 on top, 50 on the bottom. And I got spark, so all I need is fuel now. So here's the carburetor. It's disassembled. Taking the needle valve out of here. Took the top portion off. And it's got a needle seat that goes up through the bottom. And these three pieces hold it together. And then here's the adjustment and the top cover. So I've cleaned it out. I cleaned it with WD-40. It wasn't gummed up or anything. I got it cleaned up. Here's the cam roller. I adjust the speed or the amount of fuel that's pushed through it. So I'm gonna set my phone up and do the reassemble on it now, so you'll see how it came apart and how it goes back together. Here we go. Alright, so here's the carburetor, all apart. Once again, this is a 1947 CB Goodyear motor, 5 horsepower, model 2G2. So I got it disassembled, and I've actually cleaned it. It wasn't really gummed up, so I sprayed WD-40 in there and took a rag with a screwdriver and cleaned all the innards and the needle valve. Here's the cork and the needle assembly. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to assemble it, how to put it back together, and how it actually works. So these 1940s carburetors are functionally the same as the 50s and 60s that I normally work with. They're just a little different. The bowl that's normally underneath is on the side, and here's the air input, and it is regulated by this cam that rides on the magneto. It's got a spring right here that attaches to here. I'll show you that when I finish. That keeps it open, the carb open, or actually closed for less fuel. See, it blocks it. And then as the magneto runs across with that arm on the front, it pushes it out to open it up for more fuel. See, the venturi is just inside of that where the gas comes up, so it allows more gas or less gas right here. So that's your throttle control. The fuel comes in from the tank above, gravity fed into the bowl, and this needle valve goes in there, and then the cork is put on here and it's held together with these pins so it floats up and down, allowing the bowl to fill. When the bowl empties, the cork drops down, allows more fuel, and fills back up. So it's basically the same as the newer models, 50s and 60s, just physically different locations. There's a needle valve adjustment right here for the high speed. Alright, so here's the reed valves. On the newer models, you have a separate carburetor manifold that has the reed valves on it. This one is part of the carburetor, which is unique. And the reed valves right here, and we all know what the reed valves do. When the compression vacuum stroke of the piston pulls the vacuum, it opens this reed valve that allows the fuel to go through. So when the engine's running, this reed valve is sitting there flapping, like a reed on a duck call. It's flapping open, opening, letting gas through, and then closing, opening, closing, opening, closing. One for each cylinder. All right. So let's put it back together. We'll start with the high-speed needle valve. Goes through the holding nut, and there is a washer, a rubber washer in there. I didn't change out, it looks pretty good. So we're going to set this and I'm going to do it just like the 50s and 60s. I'm going to go all the way in, all the way in until it's tight, and then I'm going to come out 1.5 turns. 1.5. So when I get it started and I want to run it, I'll turn it clockwise to adjust it. I'll tighten the locking nut a little tighter. Okay, so in, I'm going to come out 1.5. Right. And there's a couple of adjustment knobs that go on here and here. Okay, so here's the drain plug that's got a filter on it for the fuel, to filter the flow of the fuel. So here's the tricky part of getting this together. This needle valve that seats right there to stop the flow of gas has got two indented rings right there, if you can see that. So when I slip it through here, I got to shove one of these retaining flaps all the way down to that first ring right there, and then the float goes on top of that, which holds it right there, and then I got to slip these two on top to hold that in, and all that's got to be done while the needle valve is in there. So that's this is the tough part of these carburetors. So I'm gonna use my finger to hold that in. I'm gonna shove that flapper. I'll use a screwdriver. Or not. That works pretty good, a pair of needle nose. I felt when it caught on that flapper has to catch on the slotted ring that's in there. Now your cork goes on. Okay, the cork is in. Now I'm going to slip these two flappers on. And when I took it apart, I'll make sure the flappers are pressed down. When I took it apart, the flappers were crisscrossed like that. Now you can just picture how the fuel fills it up, and then it drops to let more fuel in and fills it up. Now this is the first time I've ever done this on a 1940s this type of carburetor. So if anybody out there's got a better way to do it, just let me know in the comments. So here's the screen filter and the drain plug at the bottom. Okay, now the cover has a gasket on it, and you want this needle pin to fit in there. You can tell it's fit in because the cover fits snug, and the cover's got a notch on it right here. That's for the air to come out, and I can see the needle valve through there. I can see that it's in this slot, and then there's 3. Okay, and then here's the side cover. I haven't quite figured out. There's a screw here with a spring on it. And it says rich to the left, lean to the right. So I'm assuming that's the slow speed needle valve. It fits inside of this ring. That controls this would be the high speed, and this would be the low speed. That controls the air. This controls the fuel, and this one controls the airflow. So I'm going to say that it goes like this. And then this spring controls, or this screw, see how you can go all the way back, put it up, and when you put it in, you can only go so far. It won't go all the way back. So this is controlling how restricted the air can be for the low speed. So if you wanted to crank up the idle speed, you would adjust this knob, which would move this forward and give it more gas. So this is the idle speed control system on the 40s motor. as opposed to the idle speed adjustment on the 50s that we're used to. Pretty cool to see how the engineering changes through the years from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and all the way up to the fuel injection systems where the ports on the injectors are controlled by the RPM of the engine. There is no setting. It automatically adjusts by the throttle RPMs you apply, whereas these high and low speed adjustments are manual. Now, one thing I did forget is this arm. This arm, once again, this is the first time I do one of these, so I'm a rookie. But I'm going to say that this arm so I'm going to have to remove the needle valve to get it on. And I believe that this arm's going to go first. It's going to go like this. This goes on the end. This one goes here. And this one goes here. And I assume that this, nope, it's going to go like this. It's going to go here and here. And then this adjustment is going to adjust this arm. So I'm assuming, which is a mistake, we all know what happens when you assume. I'm assuming that this arm is going to adjust this needle valve that's coming up through this hole, is going to push this up and come down. So I assume that way you can adjust the flow of fuel in the bowl with this lever. And then this knob is what adjusts the high speed needle valve itself. So I'm going to set it for a little gap. So what I did is I set this valve here to hold this needle valve right here. And then after we get it running, I'll see what this adjustment does. I know what this is going to adjust the. I'll have to see on the next video when we get it running what all this adjustment does for it. There's also a plate like this that goes over the front of the air intake. I'm gonna leave it off for now so we can squirt some starter fluid in it if we need it. So that's how you reassemble a carburetor for a 1947 5 horsepower Goodyear CB model 2G2. Next video is going to be actually putting it on and getting her started. Remember, we got compression, we got spark, and this should deliver the fuel. So we should get her running. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. See you next time. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Here at T Mike's Vintage Outboards, we're doing it one motor at a time. Please click on subscribe. I guarantee to provide weekly videos. Au revoir mes amis, and laissez les bon temps rouler.